What's up, my know-it-alls? Well, that's right. It is time for Star Trek Picard. Before we get into all that, obviously, I have a guest with me, and I'm super excited. So Mrs. Know-it-all is going to join me for this very special episode of Star Trek Picard. Why is it a very special episode? Well, I mean, one, it's Star Trek Picard. Come on. I mean, they've all been really, really awesome this season. But also, it's my birthday. So we're celebrating today, and where would I would rather be no place else at 3 a.m. than here with you. So anyways, I look forward, guys, to going through and reviewing this very special birthday episode of Star Trek Picard Season 3. So let's go on and get on into it. Man, where do you start? Right?
Well,
right? No, it's good. Isn't
it is. No, I haven't said anything about Picard we're in season 3.
Yeah.
Well, remember, I started watching Star Trek as a new person coming in.
That's right.
With Picard 1. Picard 1. The first
season
season
1.
of Picard, season 1.
Right,
yeah.
During the pandemic when we were watching it then.
Right. And so because of that is when I started watching Strange New World. So today is kind of cool for me because it's the last season, it's your birthday, and I'm starting to really like Star Trek, which I know is probably one of the best birthday gifts I could probably give this man.
Absolutely. No, man, I'm so excited. It's super great. And of course, I couldn't do it any different than being in my leather jacket because apparently it's Attack of the Leather Jackets on there.
Exactly.
Sharp
little look they are going on this season.
I don't know what, I guess it's just, I would love to know what it is you put in the replicator to get a Starfleet standard issue leather jacket. I don't know. But, all right, so let's get into it.
Yes.
So the episode starts with us being we're in the Chintaka sector. Apparently there's a junkyard where the Titan is hiding. And we get a really great cameo right out the gate. Tim Russ as the character of Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager. And what's really awesome about this is that Tuvok is one of those characters that Tim Russ. Tim Russ, he's been in tons of different things, fan films, all kinds of stuff. And he plays either a Vulcan or something like that, or once in a while, I think he's even cameoed as Tuvok somewhere in like a fan film or something. But he does, and then you find out he's a changeling. So it's like, I
love that they know that tiny itty bitty of information, and it's that personal piece of information that the changelings don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
because they may be able to genetically or like real close to mimic stuff, but they absolutely can't. They can't know everything.
The personal insight, in-depth memory, and
yeah.
I love the way Seven always is exposing them.
Oh, completely.
She's like the exposer.
No, for real. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Absolutely, she definitely is. When we start looking and exploring through that whole thought process, it really does make it very insidious. The fact that the changelings can inhabit or get into every corner of Starfleet. Now, in concept, that's scary. But when you see a character who's as traditionally, like, he's very classically Star Trek as Tuvok. And of course, who else would be captain? It's funny, I was talking to someone the other day online and they were like, why is everyone suddenly a captain? It's like, bro, they're all old. You don't stay, unless you're Harry Kim. He's the only one who stays an ensign forever. It's a super Star Trek inside joke. I apologize.
That's okay.
So no, you're good.
Explain it to me later.
Will do.
I'm sure I'll get footage.
No, for sure. That's how
we do that. That's how he has taught me.
But yeah, man. So then, as they're going through kind of this whole notion, the thought, who are we gonna call? What are we gonna do? Geordi's like, I don't know where else we're gonna do. I don't know who else we can't keep doing this. And Picard's very much like, then we're all alone. And that means, what's funny is the stakes I don't think have ever felt higher. Now, they've been pretty high. And I would say that I would argue that last season, with the potential galactic ramifications of some things, felt like it was bigger. This, they're actually making me feel like it's bigger. And especially because there's no help at the moment from the outside. It's strictly the Titan, they can only depend on themselves.
Right.
So it's pretty, and you made a really cool observation about when he said that.
Yeah, Picard looked so determined. It was like, that was the first time I saw that determination of like.
Oh yeah.
We're on our own.
So then we get to see Jack in the turbo lift, and Jack is seeing and hearing things, and specifically, he's standing with Sydney, and he hears her thoughts for the very first time. So whatever neural inhibitors that they put on him aren't working. I don't know that this necessarily has to do with Ironic syndrome or not, but either way, he seems to be able to hear her thoughts.
He seems to be the only, if he is a changeling, he seems to be the only one that can do that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I've speculated. That's why she said I've speculated that he, and you guys would know that if you follow the show, that either he might be a changeling or possibly Beverly's a changeling or something. I think it's going to be something we don't expect. And because I feel like the more you think you know,
the more you don't know.
100%. So, yeah, man, I'm really interested in just how deep this whole thing is going to actually go in terms of being able to really take us to this espionage realm. Because I feel like, and I said it at the end of the episode, I'll say it again now, I really hope they're not writing themselves into a corner. I need to check and see how many episodes are going to be in the season, and because it feels like the stakes keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't know that we're on the other side of that hill yet.
Well, I can understand that part where you're coming from. You're so immersed into the Star Trek world, where I'm not, and
Right.
I'm doing okay. So from the other angle,
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay. Now, if there's only 8 episodes, we have a problem.
Totally. No, for sure. And I don't think that's the case.
As someone that isn't as, I'm following just fine. Let's put it that way. Also, I'm really impressed with how Star Trek ties up their loose ends. So I'm very confident that while there's a lot of information coming on, that I'm going to be able to get some closures, some answers and stuff. So I'm very confident this is all coming together. I don't know about y'all.
No, I am too.
But
I am confident. I am. I'm also confident it's going to come together. My big concern at the moment is just making. So it's funny. I feel so happy actually about this because so now you understand. Like we're all like, oh yeah, this is the great. You're getting the best version of what a Star Trek show should be.
Oh, cool.
You really are. This is an amazing, and it reminds me a lot of again Next Generation, which. Terry Matalas comes from that world. He was a PA on the show back in the day, and then eventually Voyager and whatnot. So at the end of the day, I feel like they're very much moving toward creating a more cohesive universe, and that's why I'm like, dude, hashtag Star Trek Legacy. Give him another show. Give him any other show you want that takes place in this universe, and I think you're going to have a really successful show. That's just me. So then they are using or trying to use Data. And they're trying to go into him rather and talk more and get more answers. And lore keeps coming out. And you find out lore and Data are the only 2 quote-unquote personalities that have dominance. The B4 and Lol and Sung personalities are more...
memory files.
That's right. Memory files to be accessed versus lore and Data are hardcore, like wired in, and they are fighting. And it's... I don't know. I feel like it's a trope to have Data be that weak in his own in the setup, only because Lore was always the more aggressive of the 2.
I have a theory.
Run it.
So I think towards the end of this, whether it be the season or even next week's episode, I think we're going to see Data emerge more.
Right.
Because all Data really wanted to be was more human.
Yeah.
And you don't have that set of emotions. He doesn't have that set of emotions like Lore has. Am I right?
Absolutely.
I did good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like Lore has, because then Dana will. Then once Lore, I think towards the end we were going to have a complete Data, and I think unfortunately, well, whatever. We all know what's going to happen at the end.
I hope not. We'll see. No. I got it. Okay, so next in my notes here, you see, so Jack is still seeing things. We know that he can hear her thoughts because eventually because Sydney's like, I wish he would be more subtle, like, I don't know, touch my hand or something. And what does he do? He touches her hand and she's like, what did you do that for? And he's lost in the fact that he's going through this thing again. So he goes and talks to Picard. He says something, he's kind of his conversation with him is like, look, there's more things happening. I don't know what's going on. We need to figure this thing out. That's when they decide that they are done running. And what they do is they allow Vatic to find them.
Yeah.
So Vadic and the rest of them board, and they eventually, through this whole really cool cat and mouse through Force Shields thing, eventually you get Vadic is captured, and Picard and Crusher are the ones who confront him. And I don't know that I've ever seen them look as dangerous as they look in this scene.
I have a perception of Picard that the look on Picard's face when confronting Vadic, I was like, okay, well, this might be a side I've never seen.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. I agree. 100%.
What about you? Yeah?
100%. I'm like, wow. And we've seen him in some rough, compromising positions over the years. I don't think I've ever seen him be, like, dark. And I felt like it was really, like, and then you find, and think about it. It's because his kid. Here's the thing. If something were like that were to remotely happen to Baby Know-It-All, I'd burn the world. Like, seriously, can you imagine? So I feel where he's coming from. So then, as they're talking, Vatic gets to monologue. And by that I mean she runs down everything. You find out the origin of this offshoot changeling group. And that's what they are. They're an offshoot changeling group. Come to find out, during the war, the Daystrom Station, Section 31 they were experimenting. There was a scientist who was experimenting. The scientist had Vadic's. The face that Vadic uses is the face of that torturer. And they had captured like 8 or 9, I think she said 6 or something like that. They had captured 6 changelings and had them in vials, and they were experimenting on them. And they were experimenting on them to hopefully eventually find the disease that whatnot.
Right.
But what they ended up doing was they ended up creating, because they were trying to, because what would anyone like Section 31 do? They were trying to create spies. They were trying to create people who would be able to be like somehow they could brainwash the changelings into.
I felt like they were more of the Starfleet felt that they weren't a sentient being. It was more
almost like androids.
Yeah, you're right.
But like the dummy kind from season 2. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, oh, we can use the technology.
Like
to do
they didn't
everything.
have feelings or anything or sensations and stuff.
So eventually they do break away, and then they create this new group. Apparently the Greater Link is not impressed or happy by these and just want to use them as fodder, basically. But they're like, hey, there's your means to an end. You find out the role Picard was going to play in Frontier Day is actually one that requires him being able to pass a genetic test. So they have to go deep. That's why they stole Picard's remains. And with Jack, they can create a cross-infused facsimile of they'll be able to pass. And I think it's going to end up being Vatic who takes on the form of Picard. I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly certain that's going to be the end game. So what are your thoughts? You think that's...
I think Jack's going to take on the look of Picard.
Really?
And I think while the Vatic and the changelings think that it's over with, I think that's how they're going to save everything. Yeah. I thought very far in advance.
No,
this,
totally.
Just to let you know.
Rock on, man. Absolutely. No, that's awesome. And so in the meantime, Lore has taken over the ship, which is crazy.
Surprise.
And he sort of flips the entire thing on them, releases the changelings. Geordi has this amazing moment where he's looking into Data Lore's eyes, and he just tells him the truth. He says, "Listen, you are my best friend. I miss you. You changed me. You made me better, and it was wonderful." And I was like, God, talk about a guy who's had 30 years thinking to himself, I never got to say the thing that I wanted to say to my friend. And he gets to, and Laura's just like, oh, it's such a good attempt to whatever. But eventually he gets through. And Data helps them and tries to start helping them as much as possible. And I'm hoping we start seeing more of that, because Data was always I believe Data's a better personality. And I believe that even though he wasn't emotionally manipulative, I feel like he's got a better place. So Vatic breaks out, obviously, because Lore, they end up going, and she ends up taking the ship, and Seven has to stand down, and everybody tries to fight. Shaw gets his butt handed to him. By the way, Todd Stashwick, I couldn't be sadder to see you and bloodied again. Anyways, so yeah, man, I tell you what, it's hardcore. No, it's hard. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that there you go. Now you know, and if knowing is half the battle. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm tired.
You look great. That's where my other comm badge went. I forgot.
That she left it on your
uniform. I was looking for it. I was like, where'd it go? No, it's awesome. So, yeah, I got to... No,
you need to put the ding back up?
No, totally.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I appreciate so much having my personal crew here for my birthday. So thank you guys so much for being here. So yeah, man, why don't the two of you? So never forget,
everyone loves a know-it-all. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Mwah.